So, so good evening, love. So,
Hi, sir.
welcome back.
Good evening.
I guess we are getting a lot of traction for this podcast, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I guess you will send a link to our community groups so that
Yes.
they can join those who miss out our live stream.
Yeah.
So, we'll wait for a minute or two, or maybe
Yeah.
we start and people can catch up, right? So
Yeah.
today, love, we will be concluding chapter one of
Okay.
Cybex 10th edition, right?
Okay. Okay.
So, so we've taken roughly what 2 days to cover one chapter. So I'm
Right.
completely fine. 21 days, 42 days for 21 chapters, right?
Right.
So today, what all topics are we discussing? Yesterday we discussed up to governance and how
Yes.
to, achieve governance. Now
Yes.
when we achieve governance, right, whenever we are prudent upon achieving governance, right, when we drive something, it shows up. If we drive something correctly, it shows due diligence of
Right.
the top management. It shows that the top management is ready to devote the effort required to secure their organization. Now,
Right.
most of the times, once you put in effort and you put in the effort to secure your organization, and if something goes wrong in your organization and you get into a legal battle or a legal suit, what actually saves you is due diligence.
Right.
Once you once you do things correctly and still things go wrong, okay, and if still things go wrong and you prove it in the court of law that look, we took all the right decisions, we were due diligent in taking right decisions, we implemented all the controls which were required, and still we got hacked or we had a data loss which was beyond our control, okay,
Right.
because some apt or some major incident happened and we had everything in place, and still we the burden of liability reduces, okay.
Right.
So once you
Right.
prove in the court of law that you were due diligent and you took due care, the burden of liability reduces. Remember that as a CISO, it's a very important aspect, right? And that's why
Right.
you have to be compliance. You ensure that your compliance is in place. You ensure that you have the requisite policies in place and everything. And this action, the broader actions which a senior management takes, is called due diligence. Then what is due care? Due care is taking those small actions which prove or which ultimately prove that organizations took due diligent actions. So due care is best effort. Somewhere it is called the prudent man action. Due care is, once you're crossing the road, you're looking left, right, and seeing that there's no vehicle coming, right? And those are due care actions which will go to save yourself from daily battles of the day, right? So whenever you are in the CISSP exam, you feel that I have to do something small, some immediate actions, due care. Whenever I have to take decisions which will impact our organization in the long run, due diligence, right? So that was
Okay.
probably the starting point today for our discussion, so that everybody gets confused. What is due diligence? What is due care?
Can I say that, for an example, the creation of a policy falls under due diligence, and following the policy at individual level, at employee level, is called due care?
Why? I always say, whenever you are attempting CISSP exam, why? Question why. See, whenever you draft a policy, what does it mean? A policy is going to get implemented organization wide. It's a
Yes.
mandatory control, right? In a way.
Yes.
So why are you following? If you create a policy and nobody follows it, what's the
Hmm.
use?
No
So you
use.
create a policy, then enforce the policy, ensure that it's followed. That means you've been diligent.
Okay. Okay. This is due
It
diligence.
doesn't mean that it falls in. You created a policy document, put it in the shelf, and did
Right.
not ensure that it gets implemented. Will it be called due diligent actions? You tell me.
No. No.
So just by creating a policy doesn't fall into the category of diligence. Creating a policy shows that you are taking action, but enforcing it, implementing it, taking feedback, auditing it ensures that you've taken a due diligent action. But then once you form a policy, there will be smaller actions required, right? You'll have to follow procedures, you'll have to create guidelines, you have to carry out training, small actions which will ensure that overall this particular uh, you know policy gets implemented properly, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is what is going to prove that you have been due diligent.
Uh, so would you like to take another example? I've heard that example that you give, which is very easy to relate. I think the Pune incident, which happened, I think, which I've
Oh
heard in one
yeah,
of your
yeah, yeah. That
classes.
that's
Yeah,
that's a very
yeah,
favorite incident of
yeah,
mine,
yeah,
where
yeah,
things went wrong and
yeah,
what
yeah.
could be, what is easy for
And
you
people
to
can easily
understand.
relate to that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll not now over glorify a family's, battles
Which
with
is
the
fine.
legal,
Which is fine.
right?
Which
We
is
will
fine.
take a
Yeah,
small hypothetical situation, okay?
yeah.
So
X Y
what
Z situation.
happens
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
XYZ situation,
yeah.
right? You know, your kids have graduated from school or
Right,
college, and they want to
right,
enjoy tonight. They want to go
right.
for a small party with the friends. We
Weekend
all
parties.
done
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
Weekend
yeah.
parties or something,
Right,
and they
right.
ask you for your car, right?
Yes,
Now your
yes.
kids are just 16, just touched 16, right? And they are in drivable age, so
Right,
you find that okay, fine, they can drive, and you take a decision of giving them the car keys, right?
right,
But at the same time, you are worried that these guys, young kids, gonna go have a drink or two and might meet with some trouble. So what you do, you say, hey, listen, you guys are going to have fun, that's fine. I'm sending a driver along and ensure that only the driver drives. Okay.
right,
So
right.
will you call this action a due diligent or a due care action?
Sending a driver along, I would say due diligent,
Why?
because there's a overcoming barrier, right? You have a driver with you in case something goes wrong.
No, you're looking forward. You know that your kids are gonna maybe have a
Ah,
drink,
okay, okay, okay.
right?
Yeah,
Maybe have a
yeah,
drink, right? You
yeah.
know that.
Right,
Right?
right,
You
right,
you are a
right,
father. You understand that.
right,
So you're taking a
right.
due diligence. You're taking a future course
Yes,
of action. You're taking
yes,
a decision which will
yes.
have future impact. You're thinking
Yeah.
broadly. You're thinking at a bigger level, at a
Right,
leadership level. You're
right,
thinking as a father, right?
right.
So you can see what's going to happen in the future. So you take a due,
Yes,
due diligent action and send the driver along. Okay,
yes.
good till now. Okay, so the kids go enjoy, have a drink. Okay, night, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Okay, they want to come back home. The kids are now supercharged, had a drink. They feel like driving the car, right? Now the car is a supercar. It's an electrical supercar, electric supercar,
Yeah,
Porsche,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the kids want to take a drive, right? And the driver stops them. The driver says, "Sorry, you
Right.
guys are drunk. You cannot drive." Okay. Now,
Yeah.
will you tell the driver's actions as due diligent or due care?
This is due care now.
Yeah, because he's supposed to do a job and he's
Yes,
taking his care. He's not
yes,
supposed to
yes,
make a decision, right?
yes,
He is
yes.
supposed to take a, you know, action that will ensure that things are, go as per plan. So he takes a
Right,
decision that, sorry, you are drunk. I cannot let you drive. Driving is my action. I will take.
right,
Okay.
right.
So the kids get angry and kids give a call to their parents, right? And say that, look, dad, we want to drive and let us drive. Now the father tells the driver, please let them drive. Now tell me, is father's action due diligent action or due care action? By letting your son drive, what does this prove? Are you violating due diligence or are you violating due care?
Due diligence.
The decision which you're going to take has got long term impact.
Yes, yes,
If something goes wrong, it's going to have long term impact. So
yes,
father's due diligent action goes wrong here. Here,
yes.
he tells the driver, let them drive, just have a oversight on them. The son gets into the car, the driver sits behind, his one of the friends sits behind, another friend sits in the rear. Okay, friend sits in the front, the driver is in the rear. This guy drives, hits a bike, two young engineers die. Okay, now tell me whether the son tick, violated due diligence or due care.
Due care.
Right, the kid is not experienced. He
Yeah,
is a young lad, right? All
yeah,
kids do mistakes. We have also at some point in time done drunk driving. You today ask me, I'll not do. Okay, uh, but yes, we were careful that we were drunk. We were probably, but today Indian roads are more populated. Our times
yeah,
roads were
yeah.
still
Right,
empty.
right.
So this guy hits. So now you tell me, the son, did he miss out on due care actions or due diligent actions? He's not experienced. He doesn't know how to take decisions. Probably
Yeah,
violation of due care. He should not have driven.
but still not mature enough to decide, sir. I would say. Yeah,
So decision. He doesn't have the
Yeah.
capability to take
Yeah.
decision.
Right.
So when he
Right.
goes into the court of law, the law will say he's a kid, he can't decide. But you're the
Right.
father, you should have taken diligent actions. So
Right.
look at that. Look at what is due diligence, due care, right? I'm not going to speak any further because it affects the
Yeah.
family, right?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
just
Right.
to understand what's due diligence and how law sees it. The law is going to see the son's action as violation of due care. The son
Right.
is the law is going to look at father as violation of due diligence,
Right. Right.
right?
Right. The other thing that we have after this security control framework, and how is it different from a security framework, sir?
Security frameworks, security control frameworks, one on the same thing. What we are
What is the same
basically
thing?
trying to
Okay.
discuss is security frameworks, right? So
Okay.
yesterday when
Okay.
we were discussing governance, okay, and somewhere governance become part of due diligence, and security management and actions taken become part of the due care, okay. And now we saw that if you are managing security, it's good to start from somewhere, and that
Right.
starting point could be a framework, because
Right.
day one you are groping in the dark. So first thing is you try to understand the organization, does it follow a framework? If not, then you try to see which is the best framework that could be implemented in given circumstances, right?
Right.
So that's where help comes in. Framework comes under the help. It gives you a broad structure, right? So the most common frameworks today which are followed for information security implementations, the most widely known as ISO 27001 2022, right?
Yes. Yes.
So ISO 27001 is a framework given by international standardizations organization, and or it's international organization for standards actually,
Yes. Yes.
and put it as ISO. Okay,
Yes.
and it's a organization formed out of 137 participating countries. Okay,
Yes.
and they form a standard which can be adopted worldwide. It's an
Yes.
open standard, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
ISO 27001 is a family of standards dealing with multiple information security verticals, out of which
Yes.
first is ISO 27001. Earlier it was 2013 and now it is 2022, right?
Yes.
This gives a framework for implementing ISMS, information
Yeah.
security
Yeah.
management
Management
systems. now
system. Right.
now you can implement information security management system using multiple frameworks, but
Yes.
this is an open standard. You can pick
Right.
it, use it as a framework to implement your information security processes, procedures, and take due diligent actions as to how to manage security,
Right.
right? Second is COBIT, right? COBIT is again an industry standard given
Okay.
by ISACA. Okay,
Isaka.
so COBIT
Right.
is a industry standard. A lot of IT companies implement, IT and software development companies implement COBIT. Okay, so COBIT is a framework. It's a six-step framework. Okay, which covers an enterprise end to end and gives a holistic approach. Okay,
Okay.
so if you want to just remember for CISSP, simple: ISO, a worldwide open framework;
Hmm.
COBIT, a enterprise risk management framework mainly focused towards IT controls, covers enterprise end to end; governance focuses on governance, risk based approach, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
keeps into consideration stakeholder value. So these are the 4 5 points which will, end to end is keyword for remembering COBIT.
Right.
Okay, then we have more well-known frameworks. Okay, one of the important frameworks for CISSP is knowing what is NIST SP 853. Okay,
Okay.
because CISSP is a US focused certification, so understanding what is NIST SP 853 is a must, right? So NIST SP 853 is uh, information security framework which is given by NIST, for meant for federal agencies of US. Okay,
Isn't that FedRAMP, sir? If I'm not mistaken,
no,
FedRAMP.
FedRAMP is different. I'll tell you, explain
Okay.
FedRAMP
FedRAMP is different.
separately, right?
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So if you want to implement, you are a federal organization, say FBI. FBI
Okay.
is federal, organization. That is the central government of US, federal
Right.
agency, not the
Right.
state government. It's the federal government, okay, federal agency. And you want to implement, say, information security framework in your organization. It's
Okay.
mandatory for you to implement NIST SP 853.
Okay.
853, right?
Okay.
Okay, it's an openly available document, and download and implement it, whatever the
Right.
requirements are. Now, to
Right.
implement SP 853, you need to carry out. It's again a risk-based framework, so you can implement SP 853.
Okay.
Now, the next framework you can also implement. There are multiple frameworks, right? You can, if you are in the credit card industry, right? You would love to follow PCI DSS.
PCI
If
DSS.
you,
Yeah.
yes, if you are in the health insurance industry, you would like to
HIPAA.
follow HIPAA, right?
Right.
Or high trust.
High trust. Yeah. Yeah.
If you are in the, you know privacy information processing industry in the Europe,
GDPR.
you would like to feel.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what kind of requirements internally and externally you do have, right? So that's how frameworks do help you.
One thing more, I think, sir, GLBA is also something I remember hardly.
So
GLBA.
Graham-Leach-Bliley Act
Yeah.
is a act
Yeah.
which was passed specifically in US, right? Now this was post Enron debacle. So Enron was a
Oh.
company
Okay. Yes. Yes.
which did
Yes.
a lot of internal
Yeah.
control reporting. Was there were a lot of issues. So certain laws were passed in the US to help you with internal control reporting. So that's where
Right.
GLBA comes in, Graham-Leach-Bliley Act, applicable mainly in the financial industry. Then you have Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which is again applicable in the financial industry,
Right.
right? So
Right.
these were, there was Whistleblowing Act to be passed, and so there were a lot of issues due to internal control reporting, where US then formed these laws.
Okay. Okay. Then after that, we have your favorite topics are threat modeling.
Okay. So what we do is, once you have done understood governance, so once you're driving security management, you have to start a framework. You have to keep eye on your compliances, and all the frameworks are driven by risk. Okay,
Yes.
all the frameworks you will see are driven by risk management. So you need to understand that what is risk management. So before we move to risk management, you should understand that risk is driven by threats. So if you don't have a
Yes.
threat, you don't have a risk.
No risk.
If you have a
Yeah.
threat and you don't have a vulnerability, then also you don't have a risk.
No risk.
So
Right.
yes, right. So before we move to risk management, it's very important to understand how to model threats, how to do threat assessments. And before we do threat assessment, it's very important that you should model threats. Okay,
Okay.
right? And a good security professional will always model threats. And once you
Okay.
model threats, then you know the boundaries from where your threats can evolve and can impact, cause an impact, or bring on a risk to you. So
Okay.
if you do a threat modeling, you do threat modeling in three ways. One is focused on attackers. Okay, how can an attacker bring the threat to you? Okay, right?
Hmm.
If you are looking at a thief, how can a thief carry out a theft? That's 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 one way of looking at how a threat can manifest in your organization.
Right.
Second is both called focused on assets. So you want to
Okay.
protect something, you want to protect your laptop, or you want to protect your endpoint, and you say, okay, what is our threat modeling on this endpoint? Okay, say
Right. Right.
we are a mobile phone centric endpoint organization, we work completely from mobile. Okay, so now your focus is on protecting the endpoint. So you want to now assess the threat to your endpoints.
Right.
So this is asset based. You know,
Asset based threat.
or,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you want to protect your gold. So you say, okay, my house is not a safe place. Let me go and keep it in the bank locker.
Right. Right.
So what are you doing? You are doing a threat assessment based on assets.
Assets.
And
Yeah.
finally, in the information security industry today, software plays a major role,
Hmm.
right? So you can also have a threat modeling based on software.
Okay.
How does your software work? What are the data exchange points? What is the data flow path? Okay, so you can carry out threat modeling based on all these three techniques: focused on attackers, focused on uh, assets, and focused on software, right?
Okay. Okay.
Now, how you actually carry out any threat modeling is, how would you like to carry out threat modeling? Okay, first you will say, okay, what is it that I'm trying to protect? Who is the threat? Okay, how can it manifest? What are the ways in which it can reach out to me? Then if it is a very big problem, then you say, okay, I will like to do a reduction analysis. Okay, I will like to see whether, if this is my uh, where I'm keeping my asset, so this is the gate from where this will come, this is the boundary wall, this is the path. So in army also we used to say, okay, if the enemy is approaching a particular locality, where would he be and what action I need to take. So if
Right.
he's 80 kilometers away, if he's 80 kilometers away from you, I will launch a surface to surface missile.
Right.
If he has come now more near, he's just 30 kilometers away from you, I will open my artillery guns. Okay. Then he's come much more nearer. He's now in my contact range. I can open up a rifle now. Right. So every stage where you can look where the threat is, because a threat cannot just drop in. Right. A threat, you have to keep an eye on the threat. He will have to take a particular path. So
Right.
in the cyber world, if I want to launch a attack on you, first I will do a reconnaissance.
Hmm.
I will recon you. I will try to see what are your publicly exposed assets. Okay. I'll probably go to Shodan and try to see what is your what are your devices which are directly connected to your public IPs.
Right.
A simple tool like Shodan can tell me how many assets of yours are connected to public IPs.
Yes, it clearly shows that. Right.
Right. So if I know that, so firstly I need to know your IP. How will
Yes.
I know your IP? So I will send you a simple mail. I will go and do a social profiling of yours. I'll
Yeah.
try to find your email and then I'll send you an email to invoke a interest. Once I receive an email, and if there is no proxy in between, I will get your IP address. Or at least I'll get the IP address of your proxy. I will get the IP address of a gateway. Right. So there will be some way I'll try to find your IP address, carry out a recon, and then based on your recon, I will now say, okay, this guy has, whether he has placed a web server or an email server, whether he's
Right.
put a firewall or not. So there are many techniques what standard OffSec professionals do, right? We will not discuss it there. So what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say is any threat will not manifest in one day, in 1 minute. Okay. They will recon you, they will keep an eye on you, and then they will take particular action. So and that's why you need to model and you need to think how the threat is going to manifest in you. Day one, what is
Okay.
he going to do? Day two, what is he going to do? Day three, what is he
Okay.
going to do? Right. So
Can
you have to
can
model
we
threat.
provide, yeah, just on this threat modeling services, can we provide threat modeling as a service also to company? Is that possible? Like we can do it for other companies?
Yes, if you are not, see, today the thing is, security is evolving right now. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
you may not be able to capable to oversee that.
Exactly.
You
That is my point. Yeah.
Yeah. So organizations, even CISOs, I will say, they're young CISOs who may not be able to see the complete,
Yeah. Exactly.
context.
Exactly. Right. Right.
So definitely you should get a specialist to do that. Like if you do not understand law, you go to a lawyer, right?
Right.
To
Right.
interpret the law. So it's always good to go to a specialist if you do not have the capable team, right? And that's why managed services providers do come in. People like us who do, this particular. If you don't know how to implement ISO 27000, when we come and help people, so many startups we are helping right now, right?
Right. Right. So
So
after,
yes,
yeah.
get
Yeah.
specialist if you can't do it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. After threat modeling, sir, next hot topic that we have is supply chain risk. Again, one of my favorites.
Okay, so this now is the burning, you know and we anticipated this risk way back, way
Yes.
back. 2008 we were discussing supply chain risks. Once Stuxnet was revealed, we were already
Right.
talking about supply chain risk. We were not trusting. So like, we don't trust hardware, like, any armed forces, right? Any critical space will not trust hardware coming from certain locations, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you go through rigorous testing to see whether your hardware is not bugged, whether your software does not have backdoors. Okay. And can an organization tell by looking at a hardware that whether it's bugged or not,
Hmm.
right? So critical organizations need to have, oversight over what kind of hardware, what kind of software is coming to your organization, which can bring in risks which you didn't have oversight on, right? A simple could be the CrowdStrike incident. Now that's a supply chain risk to you. You installed an agent on your all your machines, believing in it, and due to some mistake or maybe due to some error, uh, where both Windows architecture was at fault and CrowdStrike testing was at fault. Okay, and systems went out worldwide. Your BCDR also could not, bring you out. So
Yes.
supply chain risks are basically looking at risks which can manifest because not because of your own fault, but because of the supplies which are reaching to you, whether hardware, whether software, whether manpower. Okay, you hired someone from some part of the world. He comes in and he's part of an APT group. Okay, recent Google hiring, or Google or someone, I don't know whether Google, I was reading somebody hired a member of an APT from North Korea in their payroll, and he hacked their systems. So do you have
Yeah.
oversight over,
The BGB went fail actually. They were not able to do proper BGB. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So your onboarding process, is it so clear that you end up hiring a hacker who is going to be an
Yeah.
internal
This
threat?
happened recently. Happened. Yeah. Yeah.
Very recently, I think last to last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Right, so supply chain risk is keeping an eye on what can go wrong. And today's world, this is something which you have to keep your eye on, whether software, whether hardware. Hardware can be bugged very easily, and you can those who are in the semiconductor industry know it very well, that you can easily create a hardware bypass by
There
implementing
was a
some
there
tool
was a
inside.
pager incident as well recently, sir, in one of the countries, if I remember. Pagers
Yeah,
got
so
busted.
there were two
Yeah.
nations. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
openly discuss. So there were two nations who were fighting ideologically, religiously, whatever the issue. So in this particular case, the hardware which reached a particular country was bugged in between with explosives, right? And then those
Completely.
explosives,
Yeah.
yeah. So and 200 pages were blown off remotely. So that's a supply chain risk. You trust, you don't, if you do not know from where your items are coming, somebody
Yeah.
can put an explosive, or somebody can even put a back door, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Now how do you do that? How do you ensure that you are not open to such risks? So either, now that again goes to risk assessment, whether do you have that risk. Okay, is that risk, if it risk manifests, are you so critical? Because you can't survive otherwise. If a small company like mine, 15, 20, 30 employees, we can't think of someone creating a backdoor on at hardware level, right? So
Oh,
the only way we can manifest that risk is, okay, fine, we go to authorized dealers and buy our hardware from very, very authorized sources, right?
yes.
With
Yes.
strict contracts
National
and
distributors and all.
SLAs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Also, at the same time, the hardware vendors are going out of the way to ensure
Yes.
that your hardware is not bugged. Now, that is where it comes. The first thing comes as silicon root of trust. Okay, I'm
Okay.
building a hardware. I know there's going to be a supply chain risk. Somebody can play around with the hardware. Can I ensure that whatever I made and shipped is what reaches you?
Okay.
Okay, so I create some kind of a methodology inside my hardware, where if someone tries to change the firmware of, because ultimately root is something which I would like to corrupt. Okay, so if
Right.
somebody is trying to change my firmware, I ensure that you are not able to change my firmware, and I create some kind of a trust value at hardware level, so that if someone changes it, the moment you open the server machine, you come to know that this machine has been tampered with. Okay,
Right.
so tamper
Right.
proofing, somewhere down the line, silicon root of trust relates to tamper proofing. Okay,
Right. Right.
and second is what hardware vendors are now implementing is something called physically unclonable function, right? So what's a physically unclonable function is, I design a chip, right?
Okay. Okay.
It collects parameters from all the hardware functions of my machine, creates a mathematical value, and stores it in the cryptographic chip.
Right.
Now the moment you change anything on my hardware, the hash value stored the in the TPM
Will
changes.
change
Okay, it's there.
immediately. Yeah.
So whenever I receive the machine and I try to create a physical hash, it will not match,
Yeah.
because somebody en route has changed the physical hardware
Yeah.
somewhere. So most of the hardware manufacturers are definitely implementing
Yeah.
both physically unclonable functions and silicon root of trust, right?
I saw it in Apple actually in one of the cases where the laptop
Even
M2
Windows,
laptop, M1 laptop, yeah,
even
the,
Windows,
the
even
the
Windows.
RAM got failed. So the engineer came in. He said, "We have to order a part for this particular serial number only. Otherwise, it will not
Yes,
even match this RAM." I
yes,
was
yes,
like
and that's why,
amazed, like how
that's
can
why,
this
and
happen?
that's
Yeah,
why, that's why thieves don't steal MacBooks. They're not
yeah,
interested in
they don't,
stealing Mac.
they don't. Yeah,
Why?
they
Because
don't
at max they can only sell it as spare
sell
parts
it
to
again.
third.
Yeah,
No, 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 third, because if it's locked, it's very difficult to open, so thieves can't
yeah,
open it,
you
right?
can't.
And it has a clipping level, it just locks itself.
Yeah,
And at times, I have waited for like 2 hours to open my laptop because it raises the bar every
yes,
time.
yes,
So MacBooks are, people don't steal MacBooks for reselling because they can't open it. Most of the
yeah.
Windows 11 systems which are now coming with the same, so it's becoming hard difficult for hardware stealers
Wow.
to actually
Okay,
steal
okay,
hardware
okay,
or bug something,
okay. Does
right?
software bill of material SBOM also lies in the same category?
So what SBOM helps you with? Just a second.
And I think SBOM is a very recent concept. It was not there before.
SBOM is a 3 to 4 years old concept, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not a recent
recently. Yeah,
concept, I will say.
yeah.
A lot of organizations were already following it,
Okay,
mature organizations. So what SBOM does is, see, today once you make software, right? Developers want to deliver software. Just give me a second. I'll take a 2 minutes break.
yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, sure. Take your time. By the time sir is taking break, everybody who is watching, after this we are having the Q&A session. We'll be throwing a lot of questions at you. There'll be options, so anybody who is preparing for CISSP, this is your chance to participate and learn at the same time. And till now, if anything is not clear, if anything is having thoughts in your mind, please feel free to comment and ask questions. Okay, this is how you create your doubts. Yeah,
Right. So how software is built, love, if you look at, how software was built maybe 15 years back, 10 years back, and today. There was a time when, developers would code from scratch.
right.
Okay. Start from initiating a variable. Okay. Today you don't have to do that because the last 30 years.
Creating a function, defining a variable. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
right.
yes, yes.
Okay, so it used to start from scratch. Today you don't. Why? Because over the last 30 years you built so much of software that you go and place it on libraries, public libraries.
Yeah.
Okay, I am a very good coder. Say I'm not. So I'm a very good developer or a coder. I love coding. I did coding and I made my code available in public repositories on GitHub. Okay,
Okay.
or there are software companies who have built very very complex applications and softwares and libraries, and they put it on public repository for selling. Okay, so now you are a software developer for a company and you have to develop, you know a software, and you say that, okay, this is publicly available, why should I write the code? You
Right.
go and start picking those libraries. Or
Right.
there are open frameworks available. Django is open framework on Python to develop a complete web application. You can
Okay.
create beautiful applications using Django framework. Similarly, Facebook has its own framework. React is there. Similarly, Google has its own framework for developing Android applications. Now it's so much of software mix and match, so much of library. You don't know which library is brings in what kind of vulnerability, what kind of code is
Right.
there, because you may not have access to the source code. so so it's a good practice if you are an enterprise level, organization, to keep an oversight on what software is made by whom in what manner, and I need all the bill of material so that I know what vulnerabilities come in which packages.
Right.
Okay, so that I can take corrective action in time. So that's a lot of software companies are now asking for SBOM. A lot of software, a lot of security companies are bringing up with platforms which is going to be SBOM. So if I'm providing with software, I deliver it through a SBOM tool or an SBOM uh, partner, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So SBOM becomes a critical uh, process, maybe tool in future. There are already SBOM tools available to keep an eye on your software risks.
Okay. Okay. little bit I want to go back, sir. We just discussed the crowd strike incident, little
Yeah.
time back, just on the same session.
Yeah.
So just wanted to have your thoughts on how can an organization avoid such kind of a recurrent incident, because definitely we had saw a lot of issues with that incident. Could it be that you don't have a particular vendor, you multiply your vendors and segregate your entire assets, or how it should be?
So there is something called vendor management system, right?
Yes,
VMS.
yes,
So
yes.
no, when a company is small, maybe you are not dependent on too many vendors. But when a company
Right,
goes large, you will have so many vendors, and you're dependent on Zoho, Salesforce, Cisco, Palo Alto, hundreds of vendors maybe, and you
right.
probably will lose a oversight on on so many
Definitely,
vendors.
definitely. You are right. You are right. You are right. Yeah.
Right. So vendor management systems have come in place where you can, manage your vendors, how to manage the contracts. Okay, are there any risks arising out of those contracts? Right.
Okay. Okay.
So that is one way, and TPRM could be another way, managing third-party risks. Okay, so somewhere down the line, supply chain risks, SBOM, they're overall falling into the gamut of third-party risks, as I see it.
Also, can I say that dividing your operating system platform from entirely into Windows to, let's say, Mac or Linux or some other distributions as well, might would
Not
have helped that
necessary. No, no, no.
situation.
That
Not
that
necessary.
would be that would
Okay.
be that would be. I can't say that, right? Just
Yeah.
because Windows is the most prominent operating system
It
today, it
is.
gets
It
attacked
is.
the
It
most,
is.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It
tomorrow, if the
is.
Linux becomes the most prominent operating system, it will get
Same would
attacked
happen
most.
to. Yeah. Right. Right.
Same would
Right.
happen with
Right.
Mac, right? So I don't think that's a good strategy. But yes, overall, if you look at the overall, you know, how Windows platform was built initially, and then how it what happened. And yes, of course, it was initially a lot of open structure, a lot of open distributions, and that's why it was attacked the most.
Yeah.
Ease of use was definitely there with Windows, which was not there in the earlier Unix and Linux systems,
Right.
right? But today, if you become used to Mac, then it's not that Mac is not prone. There are attacks specific to Macs, there are attacks
Yes.
specific to Linux platforms, Solaris platforms. So
Yes.
it's ultimately whatever platform you have to keep an eye on your. So you have to keep an eye on a vulnerability management system, you have to keep an eye on your threat assessments.
Yeah.
So it's a complex problem today, to be frank.
Yeah. Completely.
Your
Completely.
dependence on SaaS platforms.
Yeah.
Okay, you're dependent on a
Again,
complete
an issue.
organizational.
Again, an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're dependent on Microsoft 365. And yesterday I was, I've been reading for, because I offer a lot of Microsoft 365 implementations to my client, and there's a beautiful attack available where I can very easily bypass your MFA.
Wow.
So it's a proxy attack which can easily bypass your MFA. So you have to keep your eye on, and you have to keep developing your controls, you have to keep developing your strategies continuously evaluating risk. So the concept has continuous risk evaluation, CRAs, continuous risk assessments, continuous risk evaluations. So I have we are part of like a lot of veterans today are in the security industry, and we continuously debate these things over time, because a lot of mature companies have CISOs from the armed forces
Right.
background, and they're doing some very great job, and we do have some collaborations running and understand what are the how to manage risk on a continuous basis.
Right. 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 Good. That's it, sir. I think in terms of the topics, I think we should now jump to the most interesting part of the session.
Right. So what we do is, we I think we have covered chapter one of Cybex more or
Yes.
less, right?
Yes. Yes.
So those who are preparing for CISSP, this is broadly how you should tackle chapter one, right? Please go read and do all the questions, and you should be good. So what we will do now, love, is we will do the questions.
Yeah.
So
Start the
we'll
Game of Thrones.
start
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Right. So my
Yeah.
episode three questions are episode two, episode three. Right. So I have the questions ready. Just a sec. Okay. So let me share my screen. Present. Share screen. Chrome tab. Window. Awesome. Right. So let's have few questions running. Right. Today's questions are visible. So we are in episode 3. Play from current slide. Right. So today's question, first question on the screen right now. Okay. Right. So today's question is, in today's business environment, prudence is mandatory. Showing due diligence and due care is the only way to disprove negligence in an occurrence of loss. Which of the following are true statements? Choose all that apply. So all those who are live, they can go ahead and answer this.
Yeah,
Multiple answers. So
we give you 20 seconds. Yeah, you go for it.
yeah, so CISSP will have such questions. Choose all that apply. Okay.
Wow, so many options, sir. 6 options. Oh my god.
Yeah. So first is A says due diligence is establishing a plan, policy, and process to protect the interest of an organization. Is it a due diligence, love? What do you think?
Definitely. It sounds like,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So we take this as due diligence, right? Due care is developing a formalized security structure containing a security policy, standards, baselines, guidelines, and procedures. Is this due care?
No, I don't think so.
Then is this due diligence?
Yes.
So then this is not due diligence. So this is a wrong answer, right?
Yeah.
So due diligence is the continued application of a security structure onto the IT infrastructure of an organization. Is this right?
No.
Why?
It's because it's on the overall organization, not only IT.
So this is IT. It's not on IT.
Yeah,
It's on
this,
complete
yeah, complete
organization, right?
organization. Right, right.
This is also wrong, right? Due care is practicing the individual activities that maintain the security effort. Is this due care? Do you think so?
Mm, I would say so, sir. Duke is yes.
So that boy who was supposed to not supposed to drive the car, had he not driven the car, accident
Yeah,
wouldn't have happened. So did he
yeah,
practice individual activities which should have maintained the security?
yeah.
No, right? He
Right.
did not. So
No,
that means this is
no.
right. So this
This
is
is
due
right.
care.
We have an answer from Fehin Tola. He's saying, sir, A and E.
A and E. Well, we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
we'll drive.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that means D is right or
Yeah,
wrong.
that
I
means
don't
D is
know.
right.
D
Right,
is
right,
right.
right.
So
For now, yeah.
due care is knowing what should be done and planning for it.
No,
What do you think?
planning I won't say. No, planning I won't say.
You
No.
never plan. You do the right thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So this is wrong. This is due diligence.
yeah.
Due diligence is doing the right action at the right time.
No, this is due care.
This is due care.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
ultimately, the answers are A
A and
and
D.
D,
Yeah,
right?
Fehin Tola changed his options. He said now A and D. Yeah.
That's great. As long as you do it here, it's okay,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Okay, next question. A development team is working on on a new project. So this was a CISSP type question, right?
Yes.
A development team is working on a new project. During the early stages of systems development, the team considers the vulnerabilities, threats, and risks of their solution and integrates protections against unwanted outcomes. What concept of threat modeling is this? Is it threat hunting?
Mm,
Is it proactive approach? Is it qualitative approach? It is adversarial approach.
wow. Can I give it a shot, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Proactive approach because they are doing at the early stages of system development.
Okay.
Just thinking.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it
My
not
thought is that.
adversarial approach? I'm trying to find vulnerabilities, threats, and risks. So it is it not an adversarial approach? Is there something called adversarial approach?
I don't know what is adversarial. To be honest, that's why I did not pick it. Yeah.
I've
What is
also not
adversarial
heard of
approach?
it. So since I've
Yeah,
not heard of something called adversarial approach,
yeah.
adversarial approaches focus on attackers,
Okay, okay.
right? So fine, there is nothing called adversarial approach, at least not in the CISSP terminology. Qualitative approach. I want to know the quality of. Here I'm nowhere I'm discussing quality, so I bring that out.
Hmm.
Okay. I am right now in early stages and I'm already thinking what can go wrong,
Yeah,
right?
proactive.
I'm thinking proactively, right?
Yes,
Now,
B.
threat hunting somewhere is I'm hunting for threat inside my organization,
Yeah,
which is not here. I'm not hunting for threat, right?
yeah.
So this is straight away wrong, right? So I
So
think most of
Garud
the people
Gaming,
would have.
yeah, Garud Gaming and Fentola, you are right, man. Good.
Yeah, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. Now, this question is a CISSP type question. The moment I see choose all that apply, okay, confusion will arise. So this is a CISSP type question, right? Supply chain risk management is a means to ensure that all vendors or links in the supply chain are reliable, trustworthy, reputable organizations. Which of the following are true statements? Each link in the supply chain should be responsible and accountable to the next link in the chain. Commodity vendors are unlikely to have mined their own metals, processed the oil for plastics, or etched the silicon of their chips. If the final product derived from a supply chain meets expectation and functional requirement, it is assured to not have unauthorized elements. Failing to properly secure a supply chain can result in flawed or less reliable products or even embedded listing or remote control mechanisms. Okay, so you can see two answers are straight away visible.
Hmm.
Okay, which are these two answers, love? Do you think which are straight away visible
The
without
one is
any?
one is D, I would say.
Yeah, because we just discussed this, right? Remote control
Yeah,
mechanisms, right? So we,
yeah,
we take it. D is right.
yeah,
Okay,
and one is A, I think.
and A also. They're straight away visible, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So each link in the supply chain should be responsible, accountable to the next link. So if I am providing you something, I ensure that I'm providing you something good. So A is logical. B, failing to properly secure. So I am receiving something and I have not secured it. So I got blasted, right? Now let's
right.
see B. B is a little complex of an English, okay? Commodity vendors are unlikely to have mined their own metals. Who are commodity vendors?
Commodity
Process the
vendor.
oil for plastics or etched the silicon of their chips.
Yeah, this English is very tricky, sir. I don't know what he's trying to say. Yeah,
Okay, I'm trying to sell you something,
yeah,
right?
right, right.
Do I mine my own metal? I'm trying to sell you a ring, a gold
Okay.
ring. Do I
Hmm.
mine the metal?
No.
I'm trying to sell you a bottle of massage oil, perfumed massage oil.
Yeah,
Okay. Do I know what kind of oil you are? I believe what you have written on your label.
yeah,
Okay. I am a guy who makes laptops and I import my chips from a particular country X.
right.
Do I know what have you put inside the chip?
No, 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 no.
So do you think this is a supply chain case?
Mm, no,
Are true? Are true? It's not?
no.
Why? It says
Because
commodity vendors are unlikely to have. Unlikely.
oh, unlikely. Okay, it's a negative. Okay, okay. Yes, this is then. Yeah, yeah, this is then. I missed the unlikely word, sir. Yeah, it's tricky.
So please
Yeah,
read. So that
yeah.
means this is a
Right, right,
supply
right.
chain
It is, it is, it
true
is, it is.
statement.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is true. Yeah.
Okay. True. A also true. B also true. Now let's see C.
Wow.
If the final product derived from supply chain meets expectation and functional required, it is assured to not have unauthorized elements. Is it true? I got a laptop. I
Hmm.
opened it up.
Hmm.
It's booting my operating system very
Hmm.
nicely. It shows that it is all fine. Like the case of pagers. Pagers came, it was working fine for 2 years, and
Yeah.
suddenly they
Two
went
years
for a blast. So,
busted. Yeah.
since it's met your expectation, you
Hmm.
are assured to not have. No, this is violation of supply chain.
Right.
You cannot trust the supply chain. So, you
Right.
have to ensure that even if meets functional requirements,
Right.
you have to take an action to ensure that there is no supply chain risk.
Right. Right. Right.
Right?
Wow. This was tricky, sir.
This was tricky. Right? I also would have got tricked in this question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think like a CISSP. Okay? Anyone who answered this question?
Not no 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 one was close. Faintola and Garuda Gaming said A and D only. Nobody thought about B.
Nobody
Now
thought about it.
Krishna has come. He is saying A, B, and D. Yeah, Krishna, thank you. You're right, man. Yeah,
Right. So see now, if the exam, if you missed out B, you
yeah. You're
lost
gone.
30,
You're gone.
you
Yeah.
lost 33% marks for this
Right,
question.
right, right, right.
Okay. And then you will say, I answered everything correctly, still they failed me.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. This is the fourth question. Your organization has become concerned with risks associated with the supply chain of their retail products. Retail products. Okay. Fortunately, all coding of their custom product is done in house.
In
So
house. Okay.
coding I am doing in house. However, a
Yes.
thorough audit of a recently completed product revealed that a listening mechanism, that means a backdoor, was
Backdoor.
integrated into the
Yeah.
solution somewhere
Along
along
with
the
supply
supply
chain.
chain.
Yes.
The
Yes.
identified risk is associated with what product component in this scenario?
Mm.
It's a listening mechanism.
Wow.
Listening.
Listening, huh?
Oh. Somebody is reading your packets which are going out.
Listening mechanism.
If I want to listen to your switch, what will I
Hmm.
do?
Uh, put that tap thing na on the switch and do it.
I come, implement
Yeah.
a small,
Tap.
a
Yeah.
Pico device or
Yes. 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 Just put there.
some nano
Yeah.
device and with a
Yeah.
wireless and put it physically on your switch.
On the switch, right?
That means
You're
I
done.
have to bug you physically to listen to you, right?
Hardware. Yes. Right.
Okay,
Right. Right. Right.
right. Now, somebody will say, no, no, I'll put a Wireshark and listen. Can a Wireshark
Right.
run without a hardware?
Yeah. LC Farah Fentola. Yes. D. I think you're right.
Okay, so rest all are
Yeah.
incorrect, right? So a software cannot run without a hardware.
Yeah.
Right. So the last question for the day, defense in depth. So we didn't discuss this. It's a very normal concept nowadays. Everyone knows of it. Defense
Hmm.
in depth means something you're trying to protect something with multiple layers of security. So defense in depth is a military concept where you are protecting a piece of ground using layers of protection. Okay. Like I told you, if your enemy was here, how will you neutralize it? If your enemy was here, how will you neutralize it? If the enemy has reached here, how will you neutralize it? Right. So
Right.
layered
Right.
defense. You destroy him with a surface missile. You destroy him with a RT. You destroy him with a minefield, and you
Right.
destroy here with a rifle. Okay. So
Right.
your four layers of security. Okay. So
Hmm.
this is the difference. Using a multi-layered solution allows for numerous different controls to guard against whatever threats come to pass. Which of the following are terms that relate to or are based on defense in depth? Now, this is where let's see. Can you identify all which are the terms which can relate you to a defense in depth? Okay, one is straight away available to you. Yeah, love.
Yeah. One is clear.
Which one?
Layering.
Yeah, why? Because I just explained, right? Layer one,
Yeah.
layer two,
Yeah.
layer three, and this
Right.
is the layer ultimate asset,
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay, okay. Now, so I generally, whenever I answer the exam, I start from the last. Okay, let's say,
Right.
is silo related to a defense in depth?
No.
Why not? Always,
Because yeah.
hmm,
Because silo is only one layer, right? You don't have multiple layers on a silo. It's just something outside.
you are a frog sitting in a well. You are in a
Yeah,
silo.
that's it. You're in a silo. That's it.
I am a snake. I come in and eat you.
Yeah, attack you. Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
So silo is not related. Compartments next,
Compartments. Compartments could be, sir.
right?
Yeah,
Compartments. Okay. So
compartments could be.
let's say compartments. Okay. This is
Hmm.
compartment first.
Yeah.
Okay. So you Indian train. Okay. You first go
Hmm.
to a sleeper class.
Right.
Okay. And then you want to say that, okay, I don't have money. Let me jump into AC3.
Hmm.
Okay. Right. And then I say, oh, I can jump into AC2
Right.
because nobody's watching. Then I
Nobody's
jump into
watching.
AC1. So that
Guard
means
is
compartment
wicked.
gives you
Yeah.
layers,
Yes,
defense in
this is
depth,
layers. Right. Right. Right.
right?
Right.
So let's
Right.
say compartment is the right answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Realm. What is a realm?
What is the answer? I don't know.
Realm is I'm in my own world. It's my
Oh,
realm.
like a
Okay, it's
like
my
multiverse or
realm.
something. Multiverse or
It's
something.
a multiverse. It's a realm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, it's just a realm. So this is one realm you're playing here. You're playing a
Yeah.
game here. You want to jump into the other realm. You have to come out of the realm. and then go to another realm. This realm has no connection with this realm. They are two separate worlds together.
Oh no, then not. This is not then.
That means the realm is not a,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, zones.
Yes, those can be, sir.
Okay, zones is, in the army we used to have zones. Okay, this is the outer
Yeah.
tier. This is
Yeah.
zone 3. Okay, inside
Yeah.
zone 3, zone 1 is more critical. Zone 3 is not so critical. So
Right.
we'll have much more defensive here, but zone 1 is not so. This is again layered concept. See, so
Right.
zones is definitely right. So compartments is yes, zones is yes, layering is definitely. Can
Yes.
classifications give you layers?
Oh, this one is tricky, sir. Classifications.
Can classifications give you layers? So let's evaluate this answer, right? I even
Yes.
I don't know. I always, you know, I always give an analogy. Without analogy, I'd never, you know, try to justify answer. Classifications, okay? I'm a guy, okay? I'm carrying a label of, hey, I can only access confidential files.
Right.
Okay? I'm carrying this label. I come to your office, okay? And the first layer is where public documents are kept. This layer is public documents.
Hmm.
I come to access, I don't find any document here. Why? Because only supposed to I'm supposed to only access confidential. So
Right.
then the next layer comes. What? Say restricted.
Yeah.
I still don't find. So if you know Bella Padula model,
Yeah.
mandatory
Bella
access
Putla.
control.
Yeah.
So see,
Yeah.
I cannot get access unless I reach the right
Right.
compartment
Level. Level.
where
Yeah.
classify. So classifications will help you in creating compartments.
Right.
So is it a layered concept or applicable to layering?
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Right? Apply yourself. You don't have to remember anything.
Wow. Krishna is right. Huh?
CISSP,
Krishna does this. Yeah.
CISSP is all about applying yourself. That's got
Wow.
nothing to do with
Congratulations,
it.
Krishna. Yeah.
Right? So that's it, love. That is all from my side today. If there is any questions from the crowd, we can take it,
Yeah.
and else we'll call it a
And
day.
yeah, and
Right?
one more thing, on Thursday, we are having a webinar. Everybody who is watching right now, is basically 101 security webinar for all the freshers out there who are starting their career and infosec professionals from 1 to 5 years of experience. It's all about you, okay? 101 security webinar where me and Naha sir would be there. We'll be answering all the career related questions only. Any career related questions that you have, any job related questions that you have, it is your chance on Thursday 7 to 8, I think, sir, right? 7 to 8 p.m.
On
So
Thursday,
7 to 8.
7 to 8.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So please note down your calendars and book your slots so you can register for the webinar as well, right? Without registration you won't be able to attend. Yeah.
right. Okay, great. So that's it, love, and
Yeah,
good
that's it. Yeah.
participation. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone. Thanks, Fehentola, Virat, LZ, Opeyami, Krishna. Please re-explain Q3, the unlikely part. Okay, just a sec. Question 3, unlikely part. Okay. Uh, Commodity vendors are unlikely to have mined their own metals. Okay, right. It's an English exam.
Yeah,
Right. I'll
exactly.
share. I'll share. Just give me a share
The same
screen.
thing ticked me also, the unlikely part. Yeah.
Right. So what did it say? Commodity vendors are unlikely to have mined their own metals. If I'm making this ring, do I know where is the gold being mined from? I'm not I'm not bothered, right? It's coming to me from some supply chain. So what is it saying? Which of the following are true statements? True statements, please understand. From supply chain point of view, commodity vendors are unlikely to have their mined their own metals. Yeah, of course, because they go to an open market and pick up their metal from there, and they don't know whether this metal is coming from a mine which is authorized and there is no human rights violation, or it's coming from some part of Africa where there used to be a lot of human rights violation. Oh,
Right.
blood diamonds, right? We remember, right?
Yeah.
Or I want to make I want to make oil. I go to the open market, get the oil. I don't know whether this oil is again coming from a well in KSA or a well in Liberia. I don't know. So supply chain, somewhere down the line, commodity vendors are not worried about supply chain. So there are chances of what? Some kind of, some kind of, you know, mm, also, what do you call this word? Where you do some, this word just went out of my mind.
Collusion.
Some kind of, not collusion, not pollution. What do you call it? Some kind of, if I'm losing the right word, okay, some kind of, I'll say
Tampering.
mixing or tampering with the
Yeah.
raw material which is coming.
Right. Right.
Right, Faintola. So that's becomes a
Yeah.
supply
He's
chain
happy.
case. Okay.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
happy now.
Yeah. Right. Thank you so much, love. Let's call it a day. Time off
Yeah.
now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Right.
Yeah.
1 hour daily. I think that helps. I think our classes are becoming pretty famous on YouTube. I got a lot of YouTube followership. Thank you so much. Thanks for your love, and thanks for giving us this opportunity to discuss with you all. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.